Hey, I'm back with another card, and this month, I guess, our challenge kind of was to use a nesting dies on our cards in a probably, I don't think it had to be in a unique way, but just nesting dies. And so I challenged myself to use them in a different way than just a nesting die. So we are using these arch nesting dies. As you can see, they do not have a bottom to them. So that was a little unique. I loved that. And I was like, you know what? These remind me of what? What else? A rainbow. So the largest one does go to a full 4¼ by 5½. As you can see, well, I guess it doesn't go to the 4¼ so it leaves a little bit of room on the outside so you can get that outside edge. And then I used every other arch to, right here, as you can see, I'm kind of lining it up as kind of perfect as I can get it. I'm sure it wasn't absolutely perfect, but as good as I could get it. And it will cut out all of the, strips pretty much. So we're going to run that through our die. And then as you can see, I am leaving it to go off the edge of the paper a little bit so that it completely cuts it through. Right there, you are going to want to put some, mint tape down or whatever kind of tape you use to put down. Even if I do have the magic magnetic mat, but just so that they did not move. That magnet, I don't believe, is as strong. I wish it was a little bit stronger. I wish I could get my hands on what the Empress magnet is and see how strong that one is, as I feel like that one's a lot stronger. I wish it was just a smidgen stronger. All right, so as you can see, I do have all of these strips. Now I'm just going to use my Ohulu markers. And honestly, I just kind of looked and picked one. I wanted the primary colors pretty much. You could do this in like pastels. You could do this in a whole bunch of different ways. And you could, you don't even have to do the actual rainbow. You could do, like every other color or, anything that your little heart desires on this one. That's why I love this idea, because honestly, you can make this your own. All right, so red, the regular rainbow. I think red, orange, yellow, green, blue is what I got to. I also, once I started getting to the end of this, I started using the chisel tip side, honestly, and that honestly worked a ton better. The only other tip that I would give you that I would change about this is that I would make sure that I'm coloring the edges. So as you can see, I'm just coloring the top of the paper. I would go through and color the edges because you could see a bit of my white edges once I put it together. And that is something that I would probably have changed about this if I was to redo this card. I was going through the Roy G. Biv at that point, guys. I have a very big problem with trying to get my rainbow colors together. I don't know. I go through it in my head like 14 different times. So, all right. So here we are with green. Again, I didn't save the colors that I did in the Ohulus. I think I did like R8, Y1. Let's see, B. If I can read it. No, I can't even read it. But honestly, you don't even need alcohol markers to do this. You could do this with regular acrylic markers. You could do this with regular like Crayola markers. You could do this with your inks. You could do this with colored pencils. You could do this. You could do this with your distress oxides. You could do this with any colors, honestly, that you wanted to do this with. I just thought that doing it with my Ohulu markers would be the easiest way to get it done. All right, so now we're going to piece this all together. Honestly, super easy since they all fit together. So they're all going to fit right together since we use those dies. And I think that this is a perfect, easy card to replicate several times over, as, you just use those nesting dies and put this all together. All right, we are using that Barely Arts glue. This is my favorite glue. I know I get asked that question a lot on what is my favorite glue. By hands down, Barely Arts. It's probably the only one. I've used a few, but honestly, Barely Arts is where I stopped because I didn't need anything else. I love the needle tip. I love that this bottle very rarely gets clogged, honestly, and I leave this bottle open a lot, to tell you guys the honest truth. Now, again, if you have been here before, I do work in my basement, so it is a little less dry down here, I guess I should say, whereas many people, might not work in their basement all the time. We'll find out though, because we are moving upstairs. So we'll see if the glue changes any, and I'll be able to have more of an honest review. All right, now we're putting it in our bottom piece here, just making sure everything is flat. So you can see right here, this is where I was like, I probably should have colored those insides, but I didn't want to mess it up by going in now. So now I'm using that outer one to go and cut around that. Honestly, you could have used scissors, but I mean, I have the nesting dies, so we're just going to use the nesting die. The only thing about doing the inside is, as I messed with the paper and probably glued it back down, I didn't glue it probably like as tight as it should have been on every layer. So that inside die no longer kind of fit. I wasn't perfect, probably. If I would have thought about it, I could have like put the inside die there. That didn't matter to me. So I just cut it out with some scissors that you're going to see here. Yep, there we go. I just cut it out with scissors. It took me just a few seconds. Next, we're going to use our Cloud Stencil die to ink our background with our Sky Color Fuse ink. Again, like I said, I think this whole card took me 20, maybe 27 minutes, I think it was, when I had the full footage. Honestly, it was probably one of the quickest cards I've done in quite some time, even like start to finish, to try and figure out like the idea of it to the end. I sat down in like 30-40 minutes and got this all completed. So I was like, wow, that one came together pretty quick. I always love when an idea just comes together so quickly. I don't know about you guys, but obviously sometimes we spend an hour and a half, if you're coloring too, on cards, and when an idea comes together so fast, I love it. All right, I did pop my rainbow up here on some foam, and we are going to cut off the little bit of excess just to make sure that all of those are nice and tight to the card. And last but not least, we're going to use our thank you sentiment die, and you can honestly use just about any sentiment die that you would like on here. I went back and forth between congrats, happy birthday. Honestly, you could use several. I am going to layer this 2 and 3 times just to get more dimension. I think that sometimes when you have a simple card, more dimension helps. And that pretty much wraps up this card, guys. Thank you all for being here. Don't forget to check out Brass and Bliss below. That's where all of these products came from. And I will see you in the next video. Have a great day.